7-year-old so much they weigh 255 pounds. That's fucking nuts. That's like, this child was way bigger than me. This child is way bigger than many adults. How does this happen? Flint Township, 7-year-old dies weighing 255 pounds. Parents charged with second-degree murder. How did they do this? Parents of a 7-year-old boy who weighed more than 200 pounds when he died face murder, child abuse, and torture charges. The case began to unfold on November 4th, 2025, when a 911 call was made for a young boy in distress at a Flint Township home. Maybe they weren't overfeeding him. Maybe it was just the Flint water. He was rushed to a hospital, but he died. Genesee County Prosecutor David Layton charged 40-year-old Damian O'Brien and his wife, 41-year-old Jessica O'Brien, with second-degree murder following the death of their 7-year-old son, Casper. I don't like that they named him that, because it's like, were they trying to make a friendly ghost this whole time? Was that their goal? What the fuck? The boy was 50.5 inches tall and weighed 255 pounds when he died. On the face of it, this is cruel and extreme suffering from this child caused by the neglect of the parents. Flint Township Police came to the home on Donia for a report of a child in distress. Casper was taken to Hurley Medical Center, where he died a short time later. The cause of death was dilated cardiomyopathy, which causes heart failure. Wow. With a contributing cause being morbid obesity. The CDC lists a healthy weight for a 7-year-old boy who is 50.5 inches tall, generally ranging between 50 and 73 pounds. He was basically 200 pounds overweight. That's actually insane. That is obesity. This child did not have a pediatrician, was only taken to the doctor, I believe, according to the police report, once, Layton said. Layton said the father has a good job and the family has real health insurance. The morning the child died, they even called their veterinarian to have their dog treated. Some people just should not be allowed to have children. The O'Briens also have a 5-year-old daughter. What the fuck? None of these kids even existed in the eyes of the government. CPS had never been out there. Nobody knew about these kids. They had not been to school, said Layton. Are these people who like never leave their house, got pregnant, birthed a child at their home, and then just never went anywhere with the kid? Like, how is that even possible? On the day police were at the home in November, the owner of the house stopped by, concerned, believing the house was falling into disrepair. But so they're renting the house? What the fuck? The couple wasn't letting him in the house, instead leaving the rent on the porch. Oh, these are probably fucking hoarders, man. I can't think of what else this is other than extraordinary, terrible neglect. And to me, that is willful and wanton misconduct. Wanton! Which is second-degree murder, Layton said. I haven't read that in an article before. I love that word. Police described the living conditions in the home as a hoarding situation. Ha! ABC 12 could not reach the parents' attorney for comment. The O'Briens are being held at the Genesee County Jail on no bond, and they're due back in court on July 2nd. That's, like, what even goes through your mind to, like, not give your child medical care, but then take your dog to the veterinarian? How did he get to this size? I mean, were they actively feeding him to this size? Or, considering he had never left the home, I guess, and didn't go to school or ever go to a doctor or anything, did he just have, like, the animalistic instinct to non-stop eat? You know, like when your pets rip open a bag of food and they just gorge themselves on the entire thing until they vomit? And then they eat the vomit. Like, this is an incredibly fucking depressing situation all around. What the fuck? You hope the daughter wasn't in that bad of a shape? Yeah, I don't know who they can give that daughter to, but she should not stay with them. The EU Commission headquarters forced to shut down air conditioning amid heat wave. I reposted an excerpt of this because it's just like, I don't understand how people are surprised by this happening. The EU has basically embraced becoming communistic. This is what happens under communism. Congratulations. You've achieved it. The European Commission's headquarters was forced to shut down its air conditioning system on Friday due to the heat wave. Staff working at the Berlaymont building received a text at midday reading, "Burl, urgent due to extreme weather conditions, forced shutdown of air conditioning system from floor 1 to 7 for the rest of the day." The 13-story building is home to Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, her 26 commissioners, and about 3,000 staff. Von der Leyen works on the 13th floor, and most of her commissioners' offices are housed on floors 8 or above. The AC is being shut off from floor 1 to 7. Von der Leyen, the commission president, and her commissioners are housed on floors 8 and above. This is exactly why I likened it to communism, where the people in power will get all of the perks, and you, dear little plebeian, you will enjoy being in extreme poverty with everyone else. Equality! Belgium and much of Europe have been sweltering for the past week with record-breaking temperatures. The Commission issued guidance for its staff earlier this week, which included avoiding going outside at the hottest times of day, drinking water regularly, and starting work earlier. The advice angered some Commission staff who work in buildings without air conditioning, including DG Agri, according to internal communications seen by Politico's Brussels playbook. It's like feudalism, a Commission official working on a lower level of the Berlaymont, granted anonymity to speak freely, told Politico on Friday, referring to the fact that the upper floors housing commissioners get to keep their AC on. A second official agreed it was a disgrace. A third staffer working on the 8th floor told Politico on Friday that even with working AC, the temperature inside was still 25.7 degrees. The heat wave has prompted a renewed discussion about the lack of air conditioning systems in homes and offices across much of Europe. Only about 1/5 of households on the continent have AC. In Belgium, 1/5 of all trains are without AC, prompting the national rail company to cancel many peak hour services. The European Parliament has also faced blackouts this week due to energy consumption from cranking up its cooling system. I think this is very interesting because, as we know, heat rises, so the upper floors are going to be naturally hotter than the lower floors. However, I'm willing to bet that the AC installed in this building is some sort of like green energy, safe for the environment kind of AC, which means it's probably not as efficient as the AC we're used to having in America. And so it's an extra layer of funny that they're going to be able to like oppress all of the plebeians who work underneath them and have the excuse of, but we need to turn off your AC to make sure that our AC runs perfectly fine. Because the AC units cannot run efficiently to cool all of the floors. When it's their fault that all of these green energy bullshit things have been put into place in the first place. You can replace my toilet with low flow from my cold, dead paws, buddy man. Even feudalism was better than that. Feudalism at least had an elite that shared a culture and values with you. True and fucking real, actually. More Europeans die per year due to heat than Americans die from gun violence. I remember learning that last year and was just blown the fuck away. So this is where I like quote retweeted it. And I was like, this feels like I'm reading an excerpt from a fantasy book that's required reading alongside The Giver and Ender's Game. This like, it doesn't sound fucking real in this fucking paragraph here. It says, as an intense heat wave sent temperatures above 40 C this week, in cities from Bordeaux to Nantes, far-right presidential hopeful Marine Le Pen accused leftist parties and green activists of ideologically opposing air conditioning at the expense of public health. It is absurd to have people die because of the heat, said the leader of the Reassemblement National Party. If I'm elected president, I will put into place a massive air conditioning plan, starting in places with the most vulnerable populations. Hospitals, care homes, and schools. Far-left leader and rival candidate Jean-Luc Mélenchon hit back. Absolutely not! Installing air conditioning everywhere would only mean increasing the damage, he said, alluding to the risk of increased carbon emissions. Chat, I want you to understand. There are some Europeans that are so fucking abysmally stupid that they believe venting the air conditioning to the outside vastly increases the outside temperature and adds to extra carbon emissions. I don't even know what to say to that. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? They do know the outside is massive, right? I don't fucking know, man. Maybe there's a giant glass dome over the UK that I just don't know about. I don't know, man. I don't fucking know. The carbon they want to reduce is you. And like reading this excerpt, I'm just like, how in the fuck has air conditioning become an ideological thing, right? It's sort of like how, you know, in the US and then in the greater sphere of online, the edgy jokes have become a political thing, right? If you're willing to tell and engage in edgy jokes, you are somehow right-wing. If you're a left-winger, you don't tell edgy jokes, you just cheer assassinations. But if you tell an edgy joke, fuck you, you're a horrible person. And so it's like, if you're someone who likes telling edgy jokes or who likes consuming edgy jokes, you've suddenly just become like a right-wing figurehead. Just by way of liking edgy humor, which is fucking stupid. Your humor has nothing to do with like the political persuasion. At least it didn't used to, right? Ms. Kirsche, you have a question. If we're all gonna be in equal poverty, does that mean your quality of life goes up to a minimum, or will all your quality of life drop to match? You're hoping for the first, but knowing it'll be the second. Why would you ever hope for the first? The communists lie to you and promise the first, and it's always, 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 without exception, the latter. This is why parody has died. You can't parody the reality we're in, since the reality is the parody that we're used to making fun of. Until we're here now, where AC is now political. You see, it's funny that you say that, because I commented on this. I saw this, and I made this quote retweet, and then immediately after this, I saw this. Some guy saying, propaganda about Europe needing AC is dangerous and must stop. Heat waves are uncomfortable, yes, but they're survivable with basic common sense. AC is a luxury that accelerates the climate crisis causing these hot summers. Instead of destroying our planet even more, we must embrace sensible solutions. Staying in the shade, opening windows at night, and siestas. Europeans don't need AC to live productive lives. Let's just accept that sometimes weather is hot. Shocking, I know. A little discomfort is a small price for being morally correct. And I said, there's no way you're a real person. And a lot of the comments were like, he's not Kirsche, this is a satire account. The satire is literally indistinguishable from the far left leader saying, absolutely not, AC everywhere would only mean increasing damage. It's literally indistinguishable, chat! What are we doing? Haitian immigrant in Massachusetts declared that TPS Haitians and Syrians granted protection under Obama, quote unquote, built America, so it belongs to them too.
This is the time for all of us to raise our voices and to say, this country is also our country, is also the country of our immigrants, because we are the one who built it.
One question, how? Yeah, I would like to challenge somebody to show me anything that Haitians and Syrians have done for America. I cannot think of one single contribution by Haitians or Syrians to our country. So, get fucked, lady. I'm sure some people in Massachusetts would clap for this, though. Been here less than 20 years, built the country. Okay, buddy. True and fucking real. Even the Dominican Republic doesn't want Haitians. I fucking love the Dominican Republic. The fact that they were just like, yeah, if you're here and you're a Haitian and you can't prove that your family's been here for 3 generations, we're gonna make you get the fuck out. I was like, holy shit. I saw this other post by Kurt Anderson, and I just kind of brushed past it, but then Andrew Bronca here made a good point. This Kurt Anderson guy said, what a hellishly cruel and stupid mess SCOTUS has enabled. Most of the 1.3 million legally resident people they're letting Trump deport have lived here 15 plus years. If they're eligible for deportation, why were they under temporary protected status and have been here for over 15 years? Average age is 42. They're parents to 273,000 US citizen kids. No, they're not. Those are anchor babies, and we're going to rip citizenship from them because they never should have had it in the first place. 30% have mortgages. And Andrew Bronca here said, why do 30% of third world savages on temporary status in the United States have mortgages? How? And that's a good fucking point. If you're here on temporary protected status, how did 30% of temporary people, how did they get mortgages? How did that happen?
Good question.
That doesn't make any fucking sense. They're getting houses before natural-born Americans? Yes. Imagine how much housing availability would increase when mass deportations tick up. The banks know the government will force us to pay their bills if they're ever deported. Yup, unfortunately. Very similarly to how Biden instituted that mortgage shit, where like if you have a high credit score, your APR is going to be higher to make up for the people who have lower credit scores. Remember that? Remember that? Wow, isn't owning a home fun? The Pride Parade in Providence, Rhode Island featured a bloody steamroller behind an effigy of Providence Mayor Smiley and a rainbow guillotine poised to decapitate him. So loving. Mayor Brett Smiley is gay, but it doesn't matter. Leftist violence comes for everyone eventually. And you can see here, there's the bloody steamroller with the effigy of the gay mayor. What a loving Pride Parade. Maybe Maybe some people should have listened to us when we said that pride parades weren't actually a celebration of any kind of like fucking, oh, we just want to be treated like humans. Pride parades were literal fucking dens of degeneracy and extremism. Crazy. So like maybe if we had pride parades like they did in Japan, nobody would care. And here's the rainbow guillotine, poised to decapitate the gay mayor. You know, that's fine. At least the guillotine that decapitates him will be pride colored. You know, I'm sure he appreciates that. The gays should get the rainbow guillotines, not the regular ones. That's real equality. Gosh dang, look at the porkers manning the guillotine. You guessing this is Queers for Palestine again? These are just garden variety fucking communists, I guess. But I was shocked. I was shocked that anyone here was shocked that this was happening. Like, it doesn't matter that he's gay. Communists literally say liberals get the bullet too. Whenever a communist revolution takes place, the ideologues that helped get them there are some of the first to go. There is no room in a communist takeover for the ideologues who have nice thinking, especially once some of those ideologues realize, holy shit, I just helped an oppressive regime get into power. This isn't like the gay frolicking utopia I imagined. You like how the trans part of the flag is replaced right where the head gets chopped? Oh my god. We're in the friendly fire phase now, you know? Minnesota school board member under fire after saying dogs should urinate on white corpses in cemeteries. I think she also said like just regular people should urinate on the graves, but either way. A Minnesota school board member is facing backlash after suggesting that dogs should be allowed to relieve themselves in Christian cemeteries, writing in a social media post that people should leave indigenous land sacred and piss on the white corpses instead. This does not mention dogs. It's literally just like piss on the white corpses, bro. Chantil Allen, a clerk for the St. Paul Public School Board of Education, made the remarks amid a contentious debate over what is to become of Minneapolis's Minnehaha off-leash dog park, which the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board recently voted 8-1 to close by the end of the year. In the June 21st post on the We Love Our Dog Park Minnehaha Facebook page, Allen wrote, according to Alpha News, I don't get why we don't just make dog parks at white Christian cemeteries if white Christians are okay with it. This is a simple fix, leave the indigenous land sacred and piss on the white corpses. I have absolutely no idea how racist you have to be in order to think that, oh, you know, let's just find the cemeteries that are only filled with white corpses. Because in my mind, when I see a cemetery, I'm just like, oh, everyone is buried here. I don't think about, there might be blackies buried in the cemetery. Can't have my family buried there. Right? Like, that'd be fucked up. That'd be so fucking weird, right? Like, what the hell? Like, fourth circle grand arch wizard duke racist, right? Like, what the fuck? Who thinks like this? In what world has your brain turned into this kind of racist mush? The board's decision to close the park was due to concern that it is part of the Mni-Owe-Snee Coldwater Spring traditional cultural place, which is sacred to Dakota tribes and where unmarked graves from the U.S.-Dakota War of 1862 is thought to exist. They closed down an off-leash dog park because somebody somewhere thought that maybe this was an unmarked grave area from 1862. All right. Okay. Allen is facing federal felony charges in connection with the January 18th invasion of City's Church in St. Paul. I'm not surprised. Where she was a part of an anti-immigration and customs enforcement protest where she and others stormed the church during services. These people have no principles. They don't even care about whatever fucking potential indigenous land they're talking about. They just hate white people. They just want to kill white people. Once you understand that this is all fueled by a hatred for whites, you will understand their actions far better. And it's just like, it's absolutely crazy that they turn around and call anyone else a racist while doing this shit. Allen, who leads Black Lives Matter Twin Cities, because of course she does, of course she's part of the Buy Large Mansion scam, told TMZ in an interview in January that ICE was terrorizing our women and our children, and said the shooting death of 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good by an ICE officer was the most graphic murder. Hey, maybe don't try to run someone over with your car and they won't shoot you in self-defense. I know, crazy thought. Actually insane. And then we have the head of this whole operation standing in a pulpit preaching to a congregation every Sunday morning. She said of Pastor David Easterwood and his apparent ties to ICE. And that was really just not okay for us. Chad, I want you to remember, every time you report a foreigner to ICE, you make people like this unhappy. Do your patriotic duty. Report a foreigner to ICE today. I believe that's what's needed to be done to get the messages across, Alan said in regard to storming the church. I mean, my mother's a pastor, and so I grew up in Christianity. I grew up in the church. And one of the things I remember about Jesus Christ himself is that when things weren't going right in the church, he went in and he flipped tables. This woman is not only grotesquely racist, but she's so narcissistic, she's unironically comparing herself to Jesus Christ. That's fucking insanity. She's forgetting why Jesus flipped those tables, though. I don't think she cares anything about Jesus, honestly. Mom of teen girl who killed herself after dad's horrific incest takes aim at Governor Gavin Newsome?
What? What the fuck?
A heartbroken mom whose teenage daughter died by suicide after the girl's biological father had sex with her is demanding Governor Gavin Newsome crack down on California's sex crime laws after the disgusting dad escaped with just 1 year in county jail. Is she retarded? Like, unironic question, mother of the daughter who killed herself, are you a fucking retard? Gavin Newsome would not care about this. If anything, Gavin Newsome would be this horrifically racist mother. I grieve for her loss of her child. No one should lose a child. But this racist mother wants me to implement policy that would have negative effects on marginalized populations. Like, you live in California and you want Governor Gavin Newsome to do something about this? What a fucking retard. Carolina Sandoval told the California Post she wants lawmakers to pass legislation in her daughter Michaela Renee Settle's name after Stephen Vincent Chavez, 41, was sentenced to 1 year in county jail after 3 years probation after pleading guilty to felony incest and furnishing alcohol to a minor. It is ridiculous. It's not justice, Sandoval, 40, said of the sentence. I'm going to fight to change these laws because no other family should have to go through what we've gone through. She's going to be fighting for a very long time in California, unfortunately, for this woman. California does not give a shit. Politicians in California do not give a shit. The one politician in recent memory that I've seen try to give a shit about anything in California did not win. Unfortunately. Settles, 18, had moved from her childhood home in North Carolina to Moore Park, about 40 miles northwest of Los Angeles, to live with her father. Okay, but why? Why did she move literally coast to coast across the entire country to live with her father? In July of 2025, Chavez plied her with alcohol before having sex with her. Michaela died by suicide 5 months later. Does the mom live in North Carolina? What is happening? Why was the daughter in North Carolina, and why did she move cross country? I'm missing tons of information here. Prosecutors ultimately did not file a rape charge, saying the evidence only supported the incest conviction. Chavez insisted the encounter was consensual. Man, so many questions. Yeah, like, how do I phrase this, chat? The fact that she committed suicide makes me think it's not consensual, right? But if you're looking at this like a lawyer, and you see that this 18-year-old moved from her childhood home in North Carolina to live with her father specifically, literally moved cross-country to do it, that would be something a lawyer would use to insist in court that it was in fact a consensual encounter. Because why would she do this? For what fucking reason would she leave her mother to go live with her father across the fucking country? For university, for work? It doesn't say. It doesn't say. It specifically says she moved to live with her father, is the only thing it says. Is this the culture you keep hearing about that makes diversity a good thing? I made a joke about how Gavin Newsome wouldn't do anything about incest because it would disproportionately affect marginalized populations. And then we get to this. Chavez insisted the encounter was consensual. I literally cannot joke about things anymore. Sandoval said other victims of sexual abuse who attended Chavez's court hearings blasted Newsome for what they believe is a weak approach to prosecuting sex crimes. They let me know this is just how he is. If anything, what happened with Michaela proves all of them right. It makes sense why everybody's so angry. They let me know that this is just how he is. That's literally what I said. Like, I brought up this article and I was like, this woman's retarded if she thinks Newsome's gonna do anything. I would love for him to take the time to look at the entire case and see what went wrong and where changes can happen for other victims. And that'd be nice. That's not happening in California. It's exactly why women don't speak out. They relive everything over and over, only for the end result to come out like this. It's a slap in the face. Hey, Citizen Vigilante had a solution to that. Sandoval said prosecutors later told her a rape charge could not be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, despite her daughter giving detectives multiple statements, including a recorded video interview. Okay, see, that changes things. But once she died, they told me her evidence was no longer valid.
What?
How does that fucking work? How does you dying make your evidence no longer valid? Now, do we even know that that's a suicide at this point? What if her father fucking killed her? This doesn't make any fucking sense. I have so many questions. That's a terrible lawyer, right? They even have an audio recording of Michaela telling her cousin what happened. You can hear the heartbreak in her voice. They had all this information, but they said it wasn't enough. Jesus fucking, California is a fucking hellscape, dude. So if you kill witnesses, you're good. I think you have to be a certain complexion to be able to kill witnesses and be good. A dead person can't be cross-examined in court. Yeah, but they still have all of the evidence on tape, right? They said they have an interview, including a recorded video interview. I'm assuming, again, with the detectives, because that's what it says right before that. Like, they have all of this information. They demonize the Wild West because they were vigilantes that actually sought justice. We need to go back to the Wild West. The tuberculosis is worth it. The sentence came despite prosecutors asking the judge to impose the maximum 3-year state prison term over time in county jail. You only get 3 years for incest in California? That seems kind of lax. I mean, the guy only got 1, but the maximum being 3 seems kind of fucking weird too. The Ventura County District Attorney's Office said Chavez admitted abusing a position of trust and acknowledged that Michaela was particularly vulnerable. He also must register as a sex offender for 20 years. How much does that even matter at this point, right? Like in California, what does registering as a sex offender matter? Are you gonna get like preferential treatment when you apply for jobs? Like, it's actually just a dystopian state. Aaron Meister, Chief Deputy District Attorney in Ventura County who oversees the sexual assault unit, told the Post that evidence to bring a potential rape charge against Chavez was studied by senior prosecutors. She added that it was peer-reviewed by legal experts from another county, all of whom arrived at the conclusion that incest was the only felony charge supported by the facts, the law, and the evidence. What the fuck, man? Come on. How is this real? I hate the news. Sexual assault prevention unit, right? Naima Ramani, former federal prosecutor and president of Los Angeles-based West Coast Trial Lawyers, added to the Post, "Dead women tell no tales, and unfortunately, Chavez unjustly benefited from his daughter's tragic suicide. Without her testifying and establishing lack of consent, the district attorney didn't think it could prove rape. It is a miscarriage of justice and sends the wrong message to other perpetrators of incest and sex abuse." It does. It's literally like, if you are an individual who is like incestuously raping a family member and you just convince them to kill themselves, you can get away basically scot-free. That's fucking crazy. That's actually insanity on a high fucking level. Newsome's office said it couldn't comment on decisions made by local law enforcement or courts. I bet Newsome was like fucking fist bumping people, dude. The suggestion that Governor Newsome does not take sexual assault seriously is simply false. The governor's office said in a statement to the Post. Unironically, I would expect Mayor fucking Kami Mamdani to take sexual assault more seriously than Governor Newsome. Unfucking ironically, I would trust that guy more than Governor Newsome in this kind of case. Because at least Mamdani has some sort of like desire to pretend to not be as extreme as he actually is until he's put in place enough of a framework, right? And then it'll just be like the purge. Throughout his administration, the governor has consistently signed legislation, invested in survivor services, strengthened protections for victims, and expanded resources to prevent sexual violence and support survivors. California called California's sex abuse and rape laws a huge gray area, adding, "Something has to change. It feels like they cater to the predator more than the victim." Yeah, it feels like that in a lot of cases. It feels like that in a lot of areas in the United States, and even more so in Europe. Mamdani outlawed incest, and it affects the Muslim community the most. Why people don't season their family members. This guy named Tim Pigeonchild, Timothy, the child of pigeon. Oh, he's a live 2D rigger. That's fucking crazy. Maybe I should have gotten in touch with this guy. He said, at Rip and Dip, you guys think you own every stylized cat design on the internet? Fuck you! And he shows a Redbubble thing that says, "Hi, Tim. We're sorry, but we had to remove your artwork from Redbubble Marketplace under our IP and publicity rights policy because we received a complaint from someone alleging that your artwork violates their rights. More information, it says rights holder, Rip and Dip, subject matter, Rip and Dip, affected artwork, Winter Sleep Collection, The Mark," and it's like a cat. It's like a little cat thing. So this is the design that was removed from Redbubble that Tim Pigeonchild did. It's just like an angel cat with part of his face cut off for some reason. That's kind of spooky. Kind of spooky. And Rip and Dip here says, "Respect your elders," and they changed their profile picture to this guy's artwork, which, holy shit, that's fucking crazy. And they also quote retweeted it saying, "Respect your elders," because, again, I guess these guys are just assholes. Like, I don't even know who the fuck they are. And if you go on his timeline here, "Respect your elders, readers added context. This design is directly stolen from user Pigeonchild without credit after falsely DMCA striking their art." That's the wrong there, but I still appreciate you, community notes. And then they said, "I'm back, baby." And the readers added more context. "This account was temporarily suspended after backlash over a disputed DMCA takedown on an independent artist unrelated cat design and a mocking reply to the criticism." And then they kept going. Hashtag new profile pic, and they're using that artist's design. "This design is stolen from @Pigeonchild. Good morning. A new X exclusive is dropping today. All new artwork, limited released. Stay tuned. The design in Rip and Dip's new X exclusive closely matches artwork previously sold by independent artist Pigeonchild on Redbubble. Pigeonchild shared a notice that Rip and Dip had the listing removed by claiming it violated their IP rights." Bro, how are you a wife beater, a bum, and you can't even create original art? How do you manage to make traced art look like shit? You genuinely gotta end your shit. This is like their regular shop, I guess. They have, like, this cat up here, which doesn't look like the cat that the Pigeonchild made. There's not really a whole lot of shit here. Not really. Rip and Dip chapter stores, Los Angeles, Mexico City, Tokyo, Japan. Cringe. Yeah, I don't know. Very sad though. I don't like seeing artists have their work taken like this. It's kind of fucked up. I don't know what kind of recourse Pigeonchild has here, realistically, because this absolutely should not have gone through. This shouldn't have gone through. This doesn't look like their cat mascot. If they're claiming it looks like this thing up here, does not look the same. So I have no idea. The artist could DMCA him, but lawyers. This is the problem with like DMCA abuse, is that it presumes people are going to be using the law in good faith. And so that opens the door for many, many people to take advantage of it and use it erroneously, like we've seen with Daymay, like we've seen with The Quartering, like we're seeing with this fucking artist guy, right? At this point, they need to contest it and go to court. Yeah, that's what people bank on, right? I don't know who Tim Pigeonchild is, but he just seems like, you know, some fucking random Twitter artist, right? How is he going to be able to counterclaim against a company that likely has way more money than he does? Right, this is incredibly intrusive, it's unfair, and it's on the person being attacked to spend money to prove their innocence. It's absurd. I want you all to understand this very carefully, and I especially want all who unironically use Wikipedia as a source and keep posting Wikipedia links as an attempt to debunk other people to know this. Larry Sanger, one of the co-founders of Wikipedia, has recently been banned from editing Wikipedia articles indefinitely. Why? Because he asked for more balanced sources and campaigned for intellectual diversity. Lo and behold, all because he dared to ask for that, Wikipedia purged him from the site and silenced him. Their own co-founder, might I remind you. I hope I can emphasize enough to you that Wikipedia is nothing more than the encyclopedia equivalent of a reset era old NeoGAF or old Twitter under Parag Agrawal. I don't even remember who the fuck this Indian is. I just remember Jack. Evidently, from what it has done to its co-founder, it becomes obvious that those who run Wikipedia have zero interest in making sure the information they post on the site is factual or accurate. That's why my YouTuber page gets vandalized all the fucking time. To them, the priority has been the same since after 2016. Post anything that favors the editor's biases while passing it off as quote-unquote objective information. Remember AC Shadows and Yasuke, how Wikipedia tried to push a glorified fan fiction done by a British expat in Japan as historical fact. Let this be a warning to those who try to post a Wikipedia article to my face when we have an argument as if it will help you. No, I will just likely laugh. And every time Wikipedia is a topic of conversation, I always remind people, when we had computer classes in elementary school, when I was in 6th grade, my computer teacher, they did like an experiment kind of thing. I'm pretty sure it was 6th grade. Might have been earlier. I don't know. I forget years. Either way, it was in elementary school. And they had us write up Wikipedia articles for just anything we wanted to write a Wikipedia article on. They were like, just write, you know, whatever you want, make new articles, and then see how many of those articles are left by the end of the week. And the fact that a classroom full of children was able to publish Wikipedia articles back in the day, the whole point was proving that Wikipedia is not a trustworthy source. Anyone can post anything, and it doesn't even have to be true or real. And even if they link a source to it, that doesn't necessarily mean the source is accurate. As we see sometimes when I read articles, they'll say something and it'll have a hyperlink, and I'll click on it, and the hyperlink will have absolutely nothing to do with what they were saying. To bring a huge throwback, if you remember during the Hogwarts Legacy debacle where streamers were getting attacked and cataloged and doxxed for playing the game, Ducky, who tried to brand himself as like a VTuber journalist, he wrote an article decrying how Hogwarts Legacy is transphobic and whatever. And at the end of the article, he had a section talking about how J.K. Rowling is funding anti-trans bills in Texas. And the hyperlink that he put for proof of this went to one of the quote-unquote anti-trans bills being proposed in Texas at the time. J.K. Rowling wasn't mentioned anywhere in the article. I couldn't find any information even outside of his hyperlinks of J.K. Rowling donating to any politicians in the US, in Texas, for any kind of anti-trans purposes. And I have a feeling that if she tried to, that would be considered as like interference with our political system, right? So it's like this guy, correctly calling himself a journalist, was lying like all journalists do. And so the screenshots that Permabanned put here was, I co-founded Wikipedia, now I'm banned for life, by Larry Sanger. The world's largest encyclopedia was overrun by bias and censorship and pushed me out when I tried to fix it. And it's like, I don't know if he just didn't realize how bad the problem was, or if he was happy to contribute to it until it got so bad. Like, I don't know how much blame, like, lands on this guy's shoulders for the state of Wikipedia as it currently is, you know? But you shouldn't really be surprised when your website is run by ideologues that they eventually push you out for not being an ideologue like them. Results for Larry Sanger. This user is currently blocked. The latest active block log entry is provided below for reference. June 23rd, 2026, Buster D changed block settings for Larry Sanger with an expiration time of indefinite. Account creation blocked, cannot edit own talk page, banned by the community per blah 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 blah. And it's just, oh no, leopards ate my face, man who let leopards into his house. I think it's really funny that leftists like posting that all the time. And like when Synthetic Man's community was also harassing me, not Synthetic Man himself, he did nothing wrong. When his community was harassing me, there were people on Twitter like celebrating, like, oh, Kirsche's community's finally angry with her because she's not racist enough. And it's like, this isn't my community, you fucking retards. This isn't a like leopards eating my face moment. These are not my people. These do not watch my content. He's known it's been bad for a long time. Him and the other founder have been fighting for years. That's crazy. That's crazy. Not racist enough. The entire thing was because I was an announcer on the Real Game Awards, and I gave the Husbando Award to Barrett. Wow, crazy. How dare Kier not say slurs on stream? Suspect in Minnesota fraud case arrested in Somalia after 4 years on the run. An alleged leader of the largest pandemic-era fraud scheme in the country has been arrested overseas after being on the run for more than 4 years, according to federal officials. Abdikerm Idele, 42, was taken into custody Thursday in Mogadishu, Somalia, in a daytime raid coordinated by both the FBI and Somali intelligence agencies. He was indicted in September 2022 as part of the sweeping $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud investigation. So I know a lot of us have the opinion of like, arrests don't matter because the judges have been letting these people go. And yes, judges have been letting people from the Feeding Our Future fraud investigation go. We've seen that with a couple of the white liberal lady judges, unfortunately. But our federal government unironically took the time to find this man who fled to Somalia to try and hold him accountable for the fraud that he committed upon the American people. And I think that is something to white pill about. They took the time to go and find this man in his shithole mud hut to take him in for stealing all of this American taxpayer money. This is a big fish, Daniel Rosen, U.S. Attorney for Minnesota, told CBS News. Idale was a key leader and was responsible for bribing and recruiting businesses to steal from the American taxpayer. Rosen said Idale was second in command to Amy Bach, the convicted ringleader of the scheme, who was just sentenced to more than 40 years in prison. Investigators allege Idale personally collected $5 million in bribes and kickbacks after instructing restaurants and catering businesses to inflate receipts submitted to the Minnesota Department of Education for reimbursement. The indictment includes charges related to wire fraud, federal programs bribery, money laundering, and conspiracy. This shows the global reach and outstretched arm of American law enforcement, said Christopher Dotson, FBI special agent in charge at FBI Minneapolis. Somalia is not the safe haven you may think it is. So far, prosecutors have charged 79 people, most of Somali descent, in the Feeding Our Future case. Of those, 66 have been convicted or are pleading guilty. Dozens of others have also been charged in Minnesota in a range of alleged schemes to defraud taxpayer-funded social service programs, including childcare, housing, and behavioral health. Rosen previously told CBS News the total amount of fraud in Minnesota could top $1 billion. The chapter for Feeding Our Future might be closing, but we're still in the beginning of making sure we protect the American taxpayer. Huge win that they went to Somalia and fucking got this guy. I don't know if you could ever get any restitution payments from these people. It'd be wonderful if you could. When you steal $600, you can just disappear. When you steal $600 million, they will find you unless they think you're dead. Not just schemes to steal money, it's abuse of services they don't actually need simply because they're available. Simply because they're available and they can just say, "You racist," anytime somebody calls them out for committing fraud.